I did kind of actually want to talk about the rules that I have for cohabbing, if you don't mind.
Please, please. Yeah, yeah. Let's go through those.
Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to cohabbing, like I said, I've been doing it for years and years since I was about 12 years old. Actually, maybe a little earlier than that, probably about 10 or 11. But so I learned from my stepdad, and he learned it from the guy that taught him, and so I kind of have that as like a base, right? And one of the things, or I should say, all of the things that he instilled in me, it's all common sense. When I start listing this stuff off, it all makes sense, right? Number one, you never feed them on the same day, or I'm sorry, you never feed them in the same enclosure on different days. You always feed them outside of the enclosure, always on the same day. I mean, that's pretty no brainer, right? I wouldn't throw one rat in with four snakes, right? Um,
Exactly.
Another thing is too is sizes, right? I'm not going to have an anaconda with a children's python. That's gonna be a crushed children's python at some point, right? You wouldn't want to have a python and boas together, or boas and anacondas together anyway. But the point being, you want to stick with the similar sized creatures, right?
Yeah.
So Burmese pythons, similar sized Burmese pythons. If you're talking about red-tailed boas, similar sized red-tailed boas. I don't want to have a size discrepancy where one is so big and one is so small that you have to worry about one getting crushed or injured. Um, Another thing is too is obviously, and I know I touched on this before, is having similar environment, right? Like you're not going to take a desert animal and put it into a jungle environment, or the reverse, because you're going to have all sorts of problems with health issues, right? Like if it's a desert environment and you're putting an animal that is evolved to be in high humidity, that animal's going to suffer and suffer badly. Um, and so that, obviously that's common sense as well. Um, you want to make sure that the animals are healthy, right? So I'm not going to take a sick animal or one that I'm worried about its health, or is it diseased or whatever. I want to make sure all the animals that I'm putting together are 100% healthy. And if there's any issues, quarantine, separate them, right? Until they are healthy. Um, oh, shoot, I'm kind of drawing a blank here. I guess I stuck up on that one. Um, Watching for stress, watching for behaviors. That's going to be a huge one. Is when you put these animals together, you have to keep an eye on them and see how they're interacting. You can't just toss them in and then walk away and hope that they're going to be fine. That's
Yeah.
that's not going to work. Another one is, and I know we talked about this before, is enclosure size. Right, you're not going to want to house four large snakes in a medium enclosure. That's not going to be good for anybody, right? Um, I touched on feeding. Making sure that you got enough space too. So like one hide that would fit one snake is okay, but if all those snakes are trying to shove themselves underneath that one hide, it's gonna make it's gonna make kind of chaos. So I offer like bigger hides so that multiple snakes can hide under there,
Mhm.
as well as a large water bowl. So that way, if multiple snakes want to lay in the water bowl, they can. Like I said before, my hog islands never soak, but my Brazilians often do, and they a lot of times soak together. So I make sure that I have a big enough bowl that if for some reason all of them wanted to climb in, I'm not going to have a bunch of water coming out, or you know certain snakes not going to be able to fit. Um, I would actually, believe it or not, I would like to add some kind of a pond or water feature at some point, but I'm just not sure how I would go about doing that. Just because I know my boys would use it as a toilet at some point.
Yeah.
Or their primary toilet, I should say. Um, and then that brings me to the next point is cleanliness. So, obviously with one snake, you want to make sure that you're picking up the poop. But it's even more important when you got multiple snakes, because I don't want them crawling around in each other's poop, right? So I pick up all the fecal matter as soon as I see it. and I always stay on top and look for it every day, pick up your eighth. I change out